There are several different types of lighting instruments. The cost of lighting instruments and kits can range from hundreds to thousands of dollars. Which lighting kit you choose is up to you. What is important is that you can obtain the standard 3-point lighting scheme necessary to make a good video. What is 3-point lighting and why do we use it? Good question. The key light is the primary instrument used to illuminate the subject. It should be the most powerful light in the kit. The fill light is a little weaker. This can be accomplished by using a neutral density gel or simply using a less powerful instrument. You don't want to have equally powerful lighting because it will create a flat, unrealistic effect on the subject. The backlight is also a little weaker and is used to give the subject dynamics and to pull the subject away from the background. You can learn more about lighting kits and gels by simply going to the internet and searching lighting for video. Let's review the science and the art of lighting. Let's look at color temperature. Color temperature is a characteristic of visible light that is measured in Kelvin. Note that the lower temperatures are referred to as warm colors and the higher temperatures are referred to as cool colors. It seems ironic, but if you look closely at the chart, the colors change from warm reds to cool blues until they reach a state of blue-white as the Kelvin temperature increases. The science of color temperature is complex and exceeds the scope of this discussion. To learn more about the science of color temperature, simply search color temperature on the internet and you will find enough written about it to keep you busy for years. Let's take a look at mixed lighting. Mixed lighting is the light that you encounter in situations like this. There is a darker corner that is lit by artificial light, and then there is the brighter corner with the open windows that is allowing in the sunlight. The sunlight coming through the window is 5600 Kelvin. The ambient lighting is between 3200 and 3800 Kelvin. Now I think we can all agree that the sun is the most powerful light on Earth. Trying to defeat it is useless. So now let's take a look at how to work with the sun. The most efficient way is to light the scene with several lighting instruments rated at least 500 watts and then place a blue 5600 Kelvin converter gel in front of it. This will effectively change the overall light temperature to 5600 Kelvin. We then set the iris to accommodate the brightness of the light. Then, we white balance the subject as you normally would. Don't forget that even though we are technically indoors, we have to remember to re-white balance every 15 minutes as the sun will continue to move and the color temperature will continue to change as we shoot throughout the day. This will prevent the video from having a blue or orange cast. The videographer's mantra here is, no blue video, no orange video. It is extremely difficult and complicated to fix this type of error in post-production if it can be fixed at all. As a matter of fact, an editor's nightmare is to hear a director say, we'll fix it in post. And this includes re-white balancing while you're shooting in the bright sun. That's because as the sun moves across the sky, the color temperature changes. We recommend re-white balancing every 15 minutes to ensure having proper colors. While we're here, let's talk about neutral density. Neutral density is the amount of light that's allowed through the lens into the chip. Using neutral density on a bright day, we're able to eliminate a lot of the glare and reflections that we normally get on a sunny day. There may be some instances where you want to shoot where there's water involved. In this case, the water can be very reflective and distract from the video that you're trying to shoot. This is where we use neutral density. When neutral density warning lights come on in your video camera, it's very important to apply the neutral density filter, because with neutral density, we get rid of the glare and the reflection of the sun. So the VSOP here is that when you're shooting in bright sunshine with no cloud cover, you really need to pay attention to the ND filter light. When the neutral density filter light comes on, it's imperative that you implement the neutral density filter. Let's take a look at audio. Let's discuss the nature of sound and how it applies to our project. Sound levels are measured in decibels. We could talk for hours about the science of sound. For our purposes, we are simply going to look at the practical side of audio and how it applies to your video. If you would like to know more about the science of sound, simply search audio for video on the web. Let's look at the type of audio equipment that is essential to produce a video that you can understand audibly. It is recommended to use lavalier microphones with XLR connections. Now, if you are using a more moderately priced camera, you will find that the connections do not match. We use the Beachtech DXA2T Universal Compact Camcorder audio adapter to match connections. This adapter works with just about any camcorder. However, some cameras use proprietary adapters. Always check your manual for reference before ordering any adapter system. When we used to use analog equipment, we always set our levels to 0 dB. This ensured that we wouldn't clip the signal and render it useless. The equivalent in digital audio is a negative value. On a digital camera, we set the levels at -12 dB. The state-of-the-art cameras being used today for nonlinear acquisition use AVC HD compression. They represent the very latest in technology and afford themselves readily to nonlinear acquisition and editing. Although we can't recommend any particular brands, as there are many, for our purposes of demonstration, we are using a Panasonic AG HMC 150 AVC HD camcorder. Whatever brand of camera you choose, it is recommended to purchase a camera with 3 CCD sensors. These cameras produce a higher quality product. They record on a small, high-capacity postage stamp-sized chip called an SDHC media card. These cards can be easily inserted into your cameras and computer. The VSOPs on choosing a camera are: purchase a camera that can be operated manually. The camera should display zebras. The camera should accept external audio. There are camcorders available that have all of these attributes that are priced from hundreds to thousands of dollars. These camcorders will serve you well for many years. Handheld video with a small camera will produce shaky video that is distracting. Your fellow workers may become busier commenting on your poorly shot video than concentrating on the message. So, use a tripod. A good tripod system utilizes a fluid head, a bubble level indicator, and multi-level spreaders. Now, let's go to the camera. Let's start at the lens and work our way to the back of the camera. The first VSOP is no dirty lenses. The next VSOP is always white balance the camera with each change of light. All of these cameras should have a manual white balance button as discussed. The reason we white balance every time we begin a shoot and every time we change the lighting is because lighting has different color temperatures from inside to outside, from tungsten lighting to carbon lighting, etc. In mixed lighting, it is especially crucial. Unlike the human brain, the camera cannot adjust to multiple color temperatures simultaneously, so we have to show the camera exactly what we consider to be the color white. Now, the most common mistake that beginners make, and some pros still make, is to assume that anything that is white, such as a white shirt or plain piece of white paper, will do. White paper has blue bleach in it to make it look brighter. White clothing presents us with the same problem. If you do your white balance on these types of items, you will be very disappointed when you get into post-production to find that there is a slight blue shift on your color wheel. The only way to be certain that the camera is seeing true white is to purchase a broadcast white card. Broadcast white cards can be purchased at any professional video store or online. Simply search broadcast white cards. The way to use the white card is very simple. First, set your lighting on target. With the light set, make sure that your subject stands on mark and holds the white card in front of their face. With the white card in place, zoom into the white card and defocus slightly. Then, press the white balance button until you see the OK graphic appear in the viewfinder. Next, we move to the iris control and a display in the viewfinder called zebras. Let's look at how they work together. The iris is a set of pieces of metal inside the lens that act to set the aperture of the camera. The aperture is the size of the opening that light travels through the lens to the CCD. The amount of light that the aperture controls is measured in f-stops. The f-stop range is from f1.5 to f22. The maximum aperture or opening is f1.5 and the lowest setting is f22. The higher the f-stop number, the less amount of light allowed through the lens and vice versa. When setting the iris, it is essential to turn on the zebras. The zebras represent either 80% or 100% of the maximum amount of light that you should see in the video. You can set the value of the zebras in the menu. When you set the iris, make sure that you see zebras where you would expect to see bright light. If your zebras flood the scene, then your video will be unusable. Normal zebra levels should look much more like this. Now, let's talk about composition and the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds is a graphic that the camera operator imagines and applies to the screen. When the rule of thirds is applied, it prevents poorly framed shots from being recorded. The top horizontal line is where the eyes should be placed. Lower third graphics, such as a subject's name, should be placed at the lower horizontal line. If the subject is focusing their attention to the left of the screen, then the right vertical line should be placed at the back of the subject's head while the subject looks off camera to the left. The action is opposite when the subject is looking off camera to screen right. Now, we are ready to record. Before recording, the director calls out,
"Actor ready?"
Response from the actors.
Ready.
Then, audio ready? Response from the audio.
Audio's ready.
Camera ready? Response from the camera operator.
Ready.
When everything is set and everyone involved is ready, the director states in a loud voice,
Quiet on the set.
then,
Roll camera.
when the recording indicator on the viewfinder stops blinking and holds steady, the camera operator states, speed. The director then calls for the slate. The slate is an important part of the acquisition process. It later allows the editor to find the scenes and the takes that the director decides to use in post-production. A slate can be purchased at any professional video outlet or online. The slate should contain the title, the date, the location, the director's name, the scene, and the take number. The director now finally can call the all-important phrase.
Action.
After the scene has been recorded, the director, and only the director, then calls cut. The video SOP here is only the director gives commands while on the set. Period. This is a good place to take a look at close-ups. Whenever we're doing an educational video, it's essential to use close-ups. Close-ups are part of what is called B-roll. B-roll or cutaways are used to bring the viewer closer to the action as the narrator explains the procedure. It is important that the close-ups show the exact action that is being shown in the wide or medium shots. That way, when we go to edit the video together, it will fit much easier and not look awkward. The video SOP here is always use close-ups to show the action.